I'd like to thank you all for just joining us this evening for this webinar entitled Managing Uncertainty, Next Steps to Prepare for Senior Year. So just some webinar etiquette. Please make sure that you keep your microphone on mute at all times. At any moment, if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat box. And just make sure that you are being attentive as well as respectful throughout the webinar. Tonight we'll cover adjusting to online learning, our plan of support from the KTC team. We'll talk about college preparation, next steps, and then we'll have some closing remarks. Now, before we dive deep into the information that we're going to cover this evening, I'd like you to just kind of take some time, read this question, and type your answer into the chat box. And then I'm pretty much going to call on a student to share with the group their answer. But first, I'll take some time to pretty much share my answer. So the question is, if you could be any fruit, which one would you be and why? So for me, if I could be any fruit, I'd be an orange. The reason I would be an orange is because I like to get things done in a thorough fashion, and because I have the patience to do so. So just like peeling an orange, it takes time, but it must also be done carefully. So if you would just take some time, type your answers into the chat box. I can't see them, but I know you guys are typing some really cool things right now. And with that being said, I'm going to call on Miss Angelina Dawkins just to come off mute and share her response with the group. Take it away, Angelina.
I don't, hold on, let me go in my room. I don't really, if I could be a fruit, I would probably be, I don't know, a cherry because I'm annoying. Yeah. Oh, I have to think about it. Yeah, because a cherry, you have to, no, a mango. I'll be a mango. Because
Okay.
first of all, it's a best fruit, first of all. They're the best fruit. And it's hard to take out the pits in them. And I'm not really easy person to like break apart. And the mangoes are hard to like cut. And I don't think I would be easily cut open and stuff, like hurt by stuff.
All right, cool. Thank you for that. A mango. All right. Thank you, Angelina.
You're welcome.
So we're going to get right into it, guys. And first, we're just going to pretty much talk about adjusting to online learning. Now, we know that adjusting to online learning is pretty much a challenge, right? Because it's something that you're not used to doing. But what I'm going to provide for you are just some strategies that can help you as you make this transition or as you adjust to the new learning environment that you all are experiencing right now. So the first thing you want to make sure that you do is pretty much to establish a routine, right? Make sure that each morning you continue to rise as if you were physically going to school. I know that can be a bit of a challenge, but you want to continue to do that. And even in the evening, make sure that you just go to bed on time, right? So it's important that you make sure you get that routine as if you're still physically going to school. Make sure that you prepare your environment, right? So if possible, find that space in your home where you can just really zone in, block everything out, and just focus on your assignment. It's important that you make sure you stay organized as well. Use that cell phone that you guys have, right? That's going to be important to make sure that you are reminding yourself of important deadlines that may be approaching as it relates to uh, your assignments, and also things related to preparing yourself for college and going into next steps for your senior year. Speak up. Now is definitely not the time for you guys to be quiet or silent, right? So you don't have your teacher who's physically standing over you every second of the day. So it's important that if you have questions, make sure that you ask them, whether it's in class, via email, or phone calls. But now is not the time to be quiet. So definitely make sure you speak up. And lastly, just take it serious. Don't fall victim to procrastination, right? So what does that mean? Spending too much time on social media, lying in bed too long. I know TikTok has been like a big thing right now. So making sure you're not spending too much time TikToking and playing video games. So ultimately, you just want to make sure that you just take it seriously. So use these strategies to help you adjust to this new online learning environment. So now we all know that we're dealing with, this global pandemic of COVID-19. But what we at the KIP Through College program want to let you guys know is that we're still committed to supporting you throughout this process. So what we're going to do is just pretty much share what our plan for support to you looks like. So we're going to communicate, and we're going to communicate some more, right? This is not to bug or nag you or to try to get on your nerves. It's just to make sure that all of us are on the same page. We're going to schedule check-in meetings with you guys through Zoom. So since we're unable to visit you at your high school, we'll schedule one-on-one Zoom meetings with you just to continue to work towards developing your plan and life after high school. So this is pretty much an alternative to us visiting you at your high school. We've established virtual office hours, right? So this is pretty much where we've blocked out time on our schedule just for you to meet with us if you have questions. You'll learn a little bit more about that in the presentation, but this is something else that's part of our plan. And lastly, we're going to host webinars that highlight post-secondary options. So we want to make sure that you're exposed to as many options as possible that are available for you once you graduate. So this is our plan to support you guys during this global pandemic that we all are experiencing right now. So now let's talk about testing options, SAT or the ACT. Has anyone here on the webinar taken the SAT or ACT? And if you have, just kind of take a moment, type yes, no, or I'm planning to in the chat box. Okay, I can't really see, so I'm sure there's some yeses, there's some nos, and there's some I'm planning to. So some of you may be wondering, right? Should I take the SAT if you haven't taken it, or should I take the ACT if you haven't taken that? But before we really get into answering that question specifically, I just want to kind of like show you guys just some similarities about both exams. So each exam, I think it's important for you to know that each exam is accepted by all four-year colleges, U.S. colleges and universities. Both exams also offer free practice resources as well as a practice schedule. They both offer an optional essay or writing section. So for the SAT, they have an optional essay section, and for the ACT, they have an optional writing section. Both exams are able to be completed in less than 4 hours. That sounds like a lot of time, and it really is, but we'll touch more on that on the next slide. And also, I think it's very important for you guys to know that when taking either exam, the SAT or the ACT, you won't be penalized for guessing or leaving any questions blank. So what does that mean? It just pretty much means that an incorrect answer does not hurt your overall score. So a term that Dr. Allman and Mr. Williams and I have been using here lately is, shoot your shot, right? So when you're taking either exam, shoot your shot, make an educated guess, because you won't be penalized for an incorrect answer. So here you pretty much see some additional information about each exam. So you can see that there is a cost for both, and relatively, they're pretty much the same, right? Whether you're taking the SAT with the essay or not, same thing for the ACT. It's important to know that there are fee waivers available, right? If you are interested in taking either the SAT or ACT and you want more information about a fee waiver, you can just simply ask us, or you can ask your high school guidance counselor. Now, as I mentioned in the previous slide, both exams are able to be completed in less than 4 hours, and that's a very long time, right? So regardless of which test you decide to take, I do want to encourage you that the night before the test, make sure you get rest. And then the morning of the test, you want to make sure that you also have a nice medium-sized breakfast, just so that you can make sure that your body is up and really moving. Now, in regards to the number of sections on each test, the SAT has 4, and it covers reading, writing and language combined, math, and then the optional essay portion that I referred to earlier. Now, as it relates to the ACT, they cover 5 sections. That's English, math, reading, science, and the optional writing portion. Now, one of the biggest differences between the exams is that the SAT measures developed reasoning, which is pretty much skills that you develop inside the classroom, but also outside of the classroom. Whereas the ACT, it pretty much covers information that's like directly and specifically related to what you've learned in your high school classes. So you may be asking, right, what does that mean? Well, for one thing, a college board representative who pretty much administers the SAT, one of them said that if you read a lot in school and you read a lot outside of school, you may do better on the SAT. Now, as far as the ACT, it's pretty much simple. The information that is covered on the ACT is in alignment with everything that you've learned in your English class, your algebra class, geometry, social studies, and science. So that's pretty much like the biggest difference in terms of, both exams. It's pretty much what they measure. So you may be asking yourself, should you take the SAT or the ACT? Well, my response to that would be take both if possible. And the reason being is because it'll give you a better insight into which exam best fits your test taking style. When should you take the SAT or the ACT? Junior year, preferably in June. And there are 2 main reasons why I would recommend that you take it in June. For one, the school year just ended, so school is fresh on your mind. And then the other reason is, believe it or not, your senior year is going to be hectic. By the time August gets here and school starts, it's just going to take off. And before you know it, you're going to look up and it's graduation time. So you definitely want to make sure you take the SAT or ACT your junior year, preferably in June. So when is the next exam? The next exam for the SAT is June the 6th, and for the ACT is June 13th. Now, it's also important to know that May 8th is the registration deadline for both of those exams. And lastly, what can you do to prepare for the exam? So what you can do is create an account through Khan Academy for the SAT, and take advantage of those practice resources that I mentioned to you earlier, as well as ACT Academy. Sign up, create an account there, and take advantage of those resources. Now, before we move on, I do want to offer a strategy to you guys, or something that is important for you to know when it comes to taking these exams. And it's like taking these exams is pretty much like learning a new skill, right? And the best way to improve on a skill is to work at it. So by taking advantage of those free practice resources, taking the SAT or the ACT, and even if you have to retake it, the more you become familiar with both exams, the better you become at it. And it's also important to know, for those of you who have taken it already, that are kind of like up in limbo about, well, should I take the SAT again? It's important to know that every 2 out of 3 students who retest on the SAT or the ACT, they improve their score. So again, for those of you who've already taken it, I encourage you to take it again. And for those of you who haven't taken it, make sure that you get in your mind of having the idea or having the plan to take it more than once. So now we're going to venture into what I call the amazing world of U-Science. For those of you who are on the webinar, are you familiar with U-Science? Have you completed U-Science? Just take a quick moment to jot it in the chat, whether you've taken or completed U-Science or not. Just take a few moments to share with us. Again, I'm sure that there are some mixed messages. Some of you may have taken U-Science and some of you may have not, or some of you are planning on taking U-Science. So with that being said, what is U-Science? So U-Science is a series of brain games that measures how your brain is wired and what makes you the unique person that you are. So once you complete these brain games, what U-Science will do is they'll give you some information about yourself that I promise you, 9 times out of 10, this information that you're going to learn about yourself is going to blow you away. And the overall purpose is to help you to make sure that you can make the best decision about what path you should take after graduation. All right. So some important things to know about U-Science is that these brain games are broken up into 11 exercises. And each exercise takes about 4 to 10 minutes to complete. Now, I know just after hearing those first 2 bullets, it sounds like a lot, right? But I encourage you, when you do take U-Science, make sure you take a break. Because just trying to accomplish or complete all 11 of these exercises in one sitting, I promise you, it'll be kind of like that emoji with the mind blown. That's exactly how you'll feel trying to complete them all at once. So make sure that you take a break after 2 or 3, just to make sure that you're moving along pretty good. So what does U-Science teach you? So you'll learn more about your aptitudes, your interests, strengths, work interests, and your teamwork style. You'll learn more about how to describe yourself. Pretty much a discussion guide will be given to you to kind of help you describe the person who you are. And you'll learn more about careers that fit you based on your strengths. So overall, U-Science will pretty much help you put together a college or a career plan that shows you the best route you should take to get there. For some of you, that might mean going straight into the workforce. For others, it might mean enrolling into a 2-year institution or a 4-year institution. But again, overall, the results that you receive will pretty much help you put together a good college and career plan. So what did U-Science teach me? So I completed the brain games on U-Science just to really see like, what was this all about? Like, this was one of the first things I did when I took the job at KIPP. So here on the screen, you'll see pretty much a screenshot of a portion of my results. And pretty much what these results revealed to me, as you see circled, is that being a guidance counselor will be a good career match for me. Now, just to let you know, this is really my results. You can see my name in the top right-hand corner. So yes, I took U Science. And what makes this whole thing ironic is that I'm pretty much a guidance counselor now. I just have a different title, manager of college placement. So I tell students all the time, had I had the opportunity to take advantage of a tool such as U Science before I graduated high school, my college and my career path would have been a whole lot different. So for me, instead of going to college to major in sport management and then later changing my major to business management, I would have just simply majored in education as soon as I got to college. And I mean, it's just that simple. Now, with me saying that, am I saying that, my college years was a complete waste? Absolutely not. But I just want you guys to know that there is value in U Science, and know that it will help you put together a good plan, whether it's college or career. So why is it important for you? Simply because it will help you answer these questions, right? What careers are a good fit for me based on my strengths, interests, and abilities? What am I going to do after high school? How can I describe myself and who I am with confidence? And where do I fit in the world of work and careers? Now, we have one of you guys as peers on the call with us today, uh, Mr. Isaiah Sanders. So I'm going to ask him to unmute himself really quickly and just kind of share with you guys, his experience and what U Science revealed to him. Isaiah, take it away.
Um, is it afternoon or is it evening? Okay. Um,
His evening.
hey, okay. Good evening, guys. It's nice to, talk to you guys again. I know most of haven't talked since middle school, but I have tried U Science. Miss Corona put me on a little bit before she left, and she was telling me like, take little quizzes or whatever. Like Mr. Pierce said, I don't recommend that you take it all at one time because it can get a little frustrating, and there are a lot of, steps to find your results or whatever. But over time, Mr. Pierce had told me, he was like, oh, well, like you took the thingy on U Science. I was like, oh, I finished that? And he was like, yeah. So we went and did it together. And I was actually kind of shocked that it told me some of the stuff that I would, most likely do in life. Like it told me that either I would be a nurse or either told me I would be an engineer. And that's something I really had my mind on. Like I really want to be an engineer and I also want to be a nurse as well. After taking this, I kind of, steer me like in the right direction or whatever of what I want to do in life. And now I'm just working towards finding a college that best supports what major I choose.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Isaiah, for sharing. I really appreciate that.
Welcome.
So there you guys have it. You've heard it firsthand from one of your peers, um, who just really spoke to the value of U Science and what it can really do to help you as you prepare for college and the next steps moving forward. So now we're going to move into college match, and in this section we'll pretty much talk about creating a college application wish list. But first, before I touch on that, I just want to share with you how we use this match tool to help you guys create a wish list. So on the screen before you, you'll see just pretty much a screenshot of the college match tool. And pretty much what this does is it helps you to create a college application wish list. So if you notice the red oval to the right of the screen, what we do with the match tool is we enter your weighted GPA and your SAT or your ACT test scores. And the match tool will pretty much recommend to us or recommend to you schools that you should consider, and they will categorize them into 5 categories. Now, these 5 categories I'm going to share them on the next slide, but they're called Likely Plus, Likely, Target, Reach, and Far Reach. So hearing that, you're probably like, God, Mr. Pierce, like, what does all of that mean? So here's pretty much a breakdown of each category. And pretty much it highlights your odds of admissions and like where your GPA and your test scores rank compared to the average freshman at that particular school that may fall into that category. So I know it's a lot of information, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make this a whole lot simpler for you guys. All right, so let's just visualize with me for a minute. So we're going to compare how schools admit students to someone who approves your follow request on Instagram. All right, just bear with me. It's going to make sense once we get to the end of it. All right, so when you think about a Likely Plus and a Likely school, these schools have a public account, right? Keeping that Instagram example in your mind. They have a public account and you share some of the same interests as their followers, right? But the difference is with the Likely Plus school, they engage with their followers just a little bit more, like whether it's through like IG stories or IG Live, right? So you can pretty much be certain that you're going to be admitted into these schools in this category because your odds of admissions are 80 to 100%. Now, when we venture into the target school, their IG account is private, right? So basically, with the private account, you have to reach out to them and say, hey, I want to follow you. So basically what they'll do is they'll look at your profile and it'll have something that may fit with the interest of most of their followers, right? But basically, there's no guarantee that they'll approve your request, but it's not unrealistic that they'll approve it as well. So then we venture down into the Reach schools, right? They have a private account also, and your IG profile doesn't quite match up to the interests of their followers. But it might be a bit of a stretch, but it still is possible that they may approve your request. And then lastly, we have the Far Reach schools. They have a private account too, but this time your profile is pretty much the opposite of their followers. And that's pretty much what makes them a Far Reach. So when you think about Likely Plus, Likely, Target, Reach, Far Reach, like try to keep that visual in your mind in terms of like, submitting a follow request on IG. So what is a college application wish list? A college application wish list is pretty much a list of colleges that match your interests and fit your academic profile. Well, why should I have a college application wish list? Well, for one, you want to make sure that you have a solid plan before the fall when college applications become available. And when should your college application wish list be finalized? You should complete yours by May 15th. Now, when we're sitting down with you to create your wish list, we pretty much recommend that you have 3 schools that fall into the category of Likely Plus, Target, and Reach. And pretty much what this does is it'll give you like a realistic, a reasonable, and a healthy balance of schools that you should consider. Because according to your profile, schools in these categories will be able to provide you the intentional support that you may need just to ensure that you are successful at their school. So just kind of remember that 3 Likely Plus, 3 Target, and 3 Reach. So now we talk a little bit about virtual campus tours. So here are a couple of resources to learn more about colleges and universities from a virtual standpoint. So the first one we have is UVisit. With UVisit, you can visit their website. It's uvisit.com, and you can search for schools that have virtual campus tours, right? And you can also follow schools who have an official page on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, right? Now, during this whole global pandemic of COVID-19, a lot of institutions have decided not to offer campus tours. but this is pretty much an option for you to take advantage of during this time. It doesn't compare to physically being on a campus, but during this time, it is an option that you can take advantage of just to try to learn a little bit more about the schools that you're interested in. So, what should you do now? Well, for starters, you should register to take the SAT or ACT in June. And as I mentioned previously, the SAT is June 6th, and the ACT is June 13th. And both of those have a May 8th registration deadline. It is also important to know, I think I failed to mention it earlier, but each exam also has a late registration fee. So if you miss the May 8th registration deadline, you still have an opportunity to register, but just know there will be a higher cost because you missed the original deadline. You should also complete U Science by May 12th. And lastly, you should finalize your college application wish list by May 15th. And you could simply do that by scheduling a Zoom meeting with myself, just so that we can sit down and really go through the match tool to help you put together that wish list. Now, we're going to talk about a giveaway. So if you want to be entered into a drawing to win a gift card, here is how you can do so. So for starters, you want to make sure that you register to take the SAT or ACT. Make sure you complete your U Science assessment, finalize your college application wish list, and make sure you attend at least one webinar that we host with a college and or a local organization. And as a part of that, you must register for that webinar, attend it, and ask one question. As you guys may have mentioned in the beginning when I was talking about our support, we're going to be hosting webinars. So first prize, we're going to give away a $50 gift card. Second, $25. Third, $15. And fourth, a $10 gift card. Now, you want to have all of these items completed by May 15th. And we'll have a drawing that's going to take place on May 29th. That's going to be through Zoom. Now, so let me just kind of give you guys a little bit more information about this drawing, right? So for each task that you complete, you get one entry into the drawing. If you complete all tasks, you'll get 10 entries into the drawing. Now, some of you may have already completed a couple of these. So to answer that question, you may be asking, yes, that does count as an entry. And if you've already taken the SAT or ACT, you've already satisfied that first option. So you'll receive an entry as well. So again, for each task that you complete, you'll receive one entry into the drawing. And if you complete all 4 tasks, you'll receive 10 entries. So again, complete all of these by May 15th, and then we'll do that drawing on May 29th through a Zoom live session. So I mentioned earlier about virtual office hours. Again, this is an opportunity for you guys to just check in with us, let us know how you're doing, ask us any questions that you may have. Dr. Allman, I'm sure she's going to drop the link to where you can sign up for those office hours. And you also see it there on the screen to where you can sign up and talk to us specifically. And that's going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4 by appointment, or from 4 to 5, just do a virtual hangout if you have general questions. Some upcoming webinars. We have an information session with City Year. That's going to be next Thursday at 6 p.m. So we'll be sending information out to you guys about that so that you'll know how to sign up for that. Strive Virtual College Exploration Week. This is an organization that has come together with all of the colleges across the country during this pandemic to offer an exploration week from April the 20th through the 23rd. So this is an opportunity for you to research the school that you may be interested in, see what day and time they are giving a presentation, and just jump on to learn more about that particular institution. We also have one with FSCJ on the 23rd at 6 p.m. And then we have one with Year Up on May 7th at 6 p.m. So this pretty much wraps up the webinar. But before you go, Dr. Allman is going to drop in the chat a link to a survey for you guys to complete. It's pretty much a 1-minute survey. And by completing this survey, you will be entered into a drawing to win a gift card. Very simple. So again, I just want to thank you guys for being on this call, listening to this information. If there are any additional questions that you may have, please reach out to me so that we can schedule a time, whether it be through Zoom or whether it be through a phone call. Ultimately, I just want you guys to know that I am here, the KTC team, we are here to support you guys throughout this time. So again, thank you, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening.